Okay, this video is work for the notes on worksheet 1B on graphing rational functions. Okay, so I'm just going to add a little bit. I'm not going to talk about the whole thing. If you want to see the majority of it is in the first video, worksheet 1, or the first video of graphing rational functions. The only thing I wanted to introduce or talk about here was or is the asymptotes, right? So I'm going to show you what you've kind of seen in the first video and then what you're seeing now. So in the first video, let's say for example number 1, we had a rational expression f of x is equal to x plus 5 over x minus 4, something like this. So remember to get the asymptotes. This is the main thing I'm focusing on here, not really the graphing and doing all that. You can watch the first video again, but I'm just going to talk about the asymptotes. So again, this you did see on worksheet 1. Remember, for the vertical asymptote, it's finding the 0 here, right? Because you can't have a 0 in the denominator, so you find the 0 for this will give you the vertical asymptote. So you pretty much put x minus 4 equals 0, right? What value of x will give me a 0 here, right? Because you can't have a 0 in the denominator, right? That'll make a fraction undefined. So anyways, the value of x is, when you move this over, you'll get x is equal to 4, right? This is your vertical asymptote. This is your vertical asymptote. So what does that mean? Well, that's kind of like that boundary line, right? Let me do a quick little graph over here. X is equal to 4, so here's my xy axis. Where's x positive 4? Well, 1, 2, 3, 4. This is a vertical line. X is equal to 4 is gonna be the asymptote right there. This is x is equal to 4, right? Again, you already saw this in the first video. I'm just kind of going over it real quick. And then the horizontal asymptote is, it's going to be, now you're looking here this way, where you ignore these numbers. You just look at these coefficients that are in front of the x, right? In front of the x, right this way. And the coefficients is like the number that goes here. Right now it's a 1 over 1, right? Right, we got 1x over 1x. See? If this was a 2, then it'd be 2 over 1. Okay, this is how you get your what? Horizontal asymptote. Again, this is all review from the first worksheet. So that would be what? Well, I'm just looking at 1 over 1, right? Just look at the numbers in front. And that will be what? This one is x is equal to, this one has to be y is equal to 1 over 1. So that's going to be y is equal to 1. That is your horizontal asymptote. And that would be, go to y, go to positive 1. And then it would be the line going this way. Okay, and then again, go back and look at the video to see how to do the graphing and how to graph the curves. Okay, but what I wanted to just emphasize here in this worksheet 1B is, what if you have something like this? So for worksheet 1B, what do you have? Something like f of x is equal to 6 over x minus 3. Where, see, if you remember up here, there's an x here, and there's also a variable x here. And see, here you're not seeing that. You only have an x on the bottom. You really don't have an x on the top. See, there's only one on the bottom. We're supposed to have one on the top, but it doesn't have one. So you're kind of supposed to see it. All right, so what's going to happen here is I'm going to ask you to kind of look at it like this. F of x is equal to, right, this is x minus 3. And this one doesn't have an x, right? This one doesn't have an x. So I want you to look at that like, well, that's a 0. 0x. There's no x up here plus 6. And we know this is a 1, right? Yeah. So here, where you look down here for the vertical asymptote, I'll just put VA for vertical asymptote. My vertical asymptote is going to be at what? Well, that's going to be x is equal to 3, right? Right, make this equal to 0, solve for x, you get x equal to 3. That's your vertical asymptote. So you would go to x, you go to 1, 2, 3. X is equal to 3 is your vertical asymptote, right? There's a vertical line like this. You draw it like kind of dashed. That's your vertical asymptote. But here what you're going to see new is your horizontal asymptote. Now when I look at this, and let me just write it again over here. Remember, there's no x over here. Now when you look at here for the vertical asymptote, you get 0 over 1. Right? I'm sorry, not the vertical asymptote, the horizontal asymptote. Your horizontal asymptote, remember, when it doesn't have an x on the top, it's like there's a 0. It's not a 1. So that's going to be, right, looking at these coefficients, 0 over 1. That's going to be y is equal to 0 over 1. Well, when you have a 0 in the numerator, doesn't matter what the denominator, the answer is 0. That's your horizontal asymptote. Now, where is y is equal to 0? All right, we've got to have these two asymptotes, these two boundary lines here. Y is equal to 0. Well, here's y is equal to 1. Here's y is equal to 2. Not up that way. Here's y is equal to negative 1. Here's y is equal to negative 2. No. So y is equal to 0 is actually the kind of like the x-axis, right? It's going to be hard to draw dashes there, but this will be your right. This one was our x equals 3. And this one's your y is equal to 0 for your asymptotes. So you're going to see that. So on worksheet B, you're going to see this a lot. I think that's pretty much what the case is on all of these. That's the case on all of these. So you'll have, let's just do another one real quick. Again, just getting the asymptotes. What if you have f of x is equal to negative 2 over x plus 5. Oop, can we see that? No. All right. So we look down here for the vertical asymptote. That's going to be x is equal to negative 5, our vertical asymptote. In your horizontal asymptote, see, you don't have an x over here, so that's 0 over 1. Right, you got to look at it like this, kind of like f of x is equal to 0x 0x, right? We don't need to look at the numbers. Just look at, there's no x over here over what? Over that x, right? We don't need to look at this negative 2. We're just going to look at the fact that there's no x over here, so it's 0, and there is an x over here, so that's 1. See, when you don't see an x over here, it's just the answer it's going to be 0. It's going to be the 0 for the horizontal asymptote. See, you just look at those. You get 0 over 1. So that is what? Y is equal to 0. 0 over 1 is 0. That'll be your, that's our vertical asymptote, that's our horizontal asymptote. So again, when you graph these, remember you have to know these asymptotes first. That's what you're finding first. So if you go to x equals -5, well, x is -5 is here. That would be this asymptote going this way. And again, y is equal to 0 is actually this one here, like your x-axis. Okay, last one. What if you have something like f of x is equal to 3 over x? What if you have this? Well, here, that's going to be x equals 0, so that's your vertical asymptote. And your horizontal asymptote is also, there's no x over here, right? 0 over 1. Right, I'll write it again. So remember, because we're just looking at the coefficients in front of the x, but there's no x here, right? This is 0x plus 3 over x. If I just look at this, that 0 over 1, that's going to be what? That's going to be y is equal to 0 over 1. Well, 0 over 1 is 0. Come in. That's y is equal to 0. Okay, so that's y is equal to 0. And this is for your asymptote, so that means that what? Well, x is equal to 0, which is your vertical asymptote, is x is equal to 0 is going to be your y-axis, and y is equal to 0 is going to be your x-axis. Okay, there you go.